I am so excited about tonight. I get a lot of questions about law school. So I'm going to start making the fourth Sunday of our show about law school. For those who are not familiar with us, welcome to As the Law Turns. My name is Vivian, or Judge Vivian, as you see there. And I started this show because I wanted to increase that 5% of African Americans who are attorneys in the United States. 3% are men and 2% are women. And to get more Blacks interested in this career, I said, hey, let's show them that it's a little more fun than it seems. So here we are. And for this law school 1L, that means we're talking about the first year of law school. I brought on a more recent law school graduate than I am, Miss LeBrit Nickerson. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and then she's going to answer a couple questions we have. If you have any live questions, as per our usual show, drop and post your comment, guys, okay? And we'll be up. So I'm going to let Miss LeBrit get to it.
Hi, everyone. So my name is LeBrit Nickerson, and I am from Suffolk, Virginia, and I currently live in Baltimore. I went to and graduated from Maryland Carey Law here in Baltimore, Maryland, and I just graduated law school, so I'm really familiar with that 1L experience. And I just sat for the bar in July, so I'm like a nervous wreck as I await my results, but I'm so happy to be here tonight to answer all your questions about that 1L year.
Okay, so we're going to have Attorney Rivers join us, but she seems to be having a bit of a connection issue. So, guys, if you see me turn my head, it's not that I don't care. I love you all. It's just that I'm going to try to get her in with us. LeBrit, I'll let you go ahead and start if you want to. I believe the first question was, what is your favorite class in law school? So you take it away.
So my favorite class in law school, like I had two classes that I just really, really loved. So torts and contracts. And it was like kind of for a couple of reasons. So for both of those classes, I had amazing professors that were, I could tell that they were passionate about teaching, and I could tell that they were really able to kind of go the extra mile to kind of help 1L students as they're navigating that first semester, because these were both classes that I took my first semester of law school. And in addition, like the subject. So contracts for me, though, was my absolute favorite. Professor Ertman, thank you. You made contracts so enjoyable for me. It was something when I went in, I knew I was able to kind of issue spot. So for those of you all who don't know what issue spotting is, it's identifying the legal issue that really needs to be resolved to make the case dispositive or to answer the legal question. And so a lot of times that's the hardest thing. But for contracts, it flowed easy for me. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading my cases. Cold calling for contracts just seemed to go well for me. For those that are not familiar with cold calling, so that is a method in which your professor will randomly call on you to answer questions about the case. And so for my contracts class, my professor actually used law firms where she would kind of section off the class into like groups of 4 or 5. And so your law firm was on call and not just you, which is like really, really intimidating because some of these first year classes are huge. You'll once you get into law school, you'll be in a certain section. And I mean, there may be like 4 or 5 sections in one class. So, I mean, you're on call on the spot in front of like 60 or so people. So if you don't know something, it was kind of good to kind of have that backup as we were in law firms. So contracts was just it for me. I actually did, I think, the best in contracts in my legal writing class, my first semester. Those are actually like one of my highest grades in like all of my 3 years of law school.
That's pretty cool. I kind of like contracts too. It wasn't my favorite though. I don't
No.
know which one was my favorite. I liked, crazy enough, civil procedure because of the teacher though. Judge Arias was my professor, and I thoroughly enjoyed, as LeBrit mentioned before, his presentation of the class, and I think that's why I liked that class so much. Hi, Attorney Rivers. We're gonna let you introduce yourself really fast, and then we're gonna ask you as well, what was your favorite law school class first year?
Hi, I'm Jakela Rivers. I am the managing partner of Rivers Law Firm, and I have been a practicing attorney here in Jacksonville, Florida for the last, 6 years now. So in law school, I thought about this question. I think my favorite class was I'm stuck in between, I believe, maybe contracts. I think I had Professor Ponte, and she was really, really fun, and she really made us enjoy it. I think I really, really loved contracts, and she did many different things to help us just enjoy the class, and it was a good class. I think kind of along with that, I enjoyed the class of criminal law. I enjoyed that too. I had Professor Davily, and she was a really fun professor as well. She didn't take any stuff or anything like that, but I really, really enjoyed those two classes. And I don't know if it's because of the teacher that made them fun or anything like that. But I'm not, as far as subject, are we talking about more so like subject or like class?
I guess a mix of both.
Because sometimes a subject that you don't even think that you're going to like, the teacher can make it like super enjoyable for you. So yeah. I didn't go into certain classes thinking I would like them. Like, I didn't think probably that I would even like criminal law, but the way that she was so creative with the fact patterns and throwing out different things, and the engagement in the classroom made it fun. Even Professor Ponte, it was a very enjoyable class because of who the teacher was. She has so much energy. I mean, this little lady could like grasp your attention. And didn't she play like a little song for us on Fridays or something?
Yes.
I can't remember what the song was.
I don't know, but all I remember right now is promissory estoppel, and she would do like this with her arms. I have not forgotten what promissory estoppel means, although I've never had to use it.
Right. Some of the things I don't have to use, but it's kind of like, yeah, I remember that because she taught me that. And so some of those things were really interesting. They're not things that I, planned on using or anything like that, or the areas that I planned on practicing. But sometimes you don't really know what to, expect in these classrooms. It can be very intimidating going in because it's like, for one, going into law school your first year, you might have been this smart kid your whole life and all this, but when you get into law school,
everybody's smart.
not only am I going to say everyone is smart, but your train of thinking is that like, hey, I'm competing with everyone who did the same thing as me to get here.
Exactly.
So it's not like high school or college where you kind of apply, you just with whoever's in the classroom. It's kind of like, okay, listen, if I got into law school and they got into law school, this can be very challenging, So it's very competitive, and but I think out of all 3 years, your first year is your most competitive year.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I completely agree with that sentiment. I think that was like, because first of all, like you said, you're getting your bearings again and saying, wait a minute, I'm not going to be number one without doing the work.
Right. Right.
Because before, us, we went to school, we sat down.
I didn't have to do that much to get my grades.
Me either. I didn't have to do a lot, but when I got to law school, so you're there with a lot of bright people, and then it's like this curve thing, and so that's so totally different from, you know, grading in undergrad. And you just feel as though, like, you know, you may feel a little bit intimidated. I know I did. I was in a study group with like what seemed to be like the smartest kid in my entire section. And he wanted to study with me. And I was just like, you want to study with me? Like, you asked me to study with you? I think I had like answered a question correctly or something in the cold call. And like he was like picking who he wanted to be on his group in the study group. And when we started studying together, I was like, oh, like, there you've already read like next week, you know, like I was just like, I'm on this week, like this week's reading.
Right.
Like some people be reading, like you start comparing yourself and you're like, oh, they're this far ahead in the syllabus. Well, I'm reading for my class the night before that class, and y'all are like, you know, well ahead. And you just gotta know, like, you running your own race, stick to your own pace, like don't compare yourself to other people. You know, there are just some things that really just, you know, are going to be different. And then you think your writing is great, and then you're like, no, legal writing is totally different. And then I never had so many red lines before law school. Like, that didn't happen to me. I was a great writer. That didn't happen to me.
Right. And I believe the other thing that got to me was that, you know, one thing that was interesting that I didn't understand when I got into law school was that my LP teacher, she was like, I want y'all to write a 6-word sentence on why you came to law school or what you're going to be thinking about, you know, like what is your 6-word sentence? And I don't remember what I did. And I think I chose something like, am I going to regret choosing this? Or, you know, everyone, you know, I always, because I didn't know, like, because it was like, everything was like scary to me because I felt like they were using these scare tactics to like, hey, you take this serious. Like I felt very mentally hazed, and like they were using it every time, like even from orientation, they was like, look to your left, look to your right. Someone's not going to make it with you. And then they were like, hey, y'all are all at the same level. Y'all all make the same grades. So, you know, it's kind of like, okay, this is scary. This is very intimidating. And then you talk to the upperclassmen, and they that's who told us, oh, you got to get you a good study group. Get you a good study group. You remember I went out you trying to get that study. We had like 20 people in that. Our first time trying to do a study group, it was like 20 people in that one room in the library.
Oh,
Epic fail.
It was so bad.
Yeah, so but we had one person up there at the board trying to teach. We didn't know what we were doing. I think at that point, we realized like we don't even know how to study. Like, have any of us ever really studied for real in life?
No, we haven't, because we've been top of the class. It was like it was different. It was quite the learning curve. I did not like study groups. I had to find that out.
Right. So that was something that I quit pretty early on. I think after the first semester, I didn't do study groups anymore. I think that if I ever tried to study with somebody, it was just probably me and that one other person. But I don't think I really utilized study groups anymore until it got like around bar time. You know, if I needed someone to do an essay with me or exchange essays, like we'll read each other essay. But it wasn't more so of a study group. It was kind of more so of, okay, let's do this time, see how quick we can write this essay, and we're going to exchange essays and grade it, you know, according to the rubric, you know, afterwards. But no, I don't. I think, you know, study groups I was done with them after first semester. I mean, besides that, we had like 600 people. And second semester when we came back, it was 300 and some of us. It was like a deep cut, you know. So I'm like, wow.
For me, I utilize study groups really kind of throughout law school, but not to study. Like I had to already do like my own readings and things like that. and like do that studying like first on my own. And then we came to kind of like, if there was something I didn't understand, if there was something someone else didn't understand, to then like, okay, try to explain it to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like some people actually like, you know, like read together. Like that doesn't work for me. I have to go ahead and like read it on my own first. And then when we're coming together, just clarification points. That's it.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just realized that it just wasn't for me. I tried it, and because it was like too many opinions and too many. And one thing about law school that you have to learn in that first L year is, number one, everybody's just as dumb as you are. Don't be offended. Don't be afraid. And also number two, that law is very opinionated. While there are a lot of rules to it because of the way statutes work, there's still a lot of opinion to it. And if you get in a room with too many opinions, you can get stuck.
Right.
So
especially with people with different political views. Ooh, that
was sometimes
especially with con law, that was really an issue. Like we were talking about Second Amendment, and I mean, it got real.
I remember we had one of those moments. I think where someone was, I ain't gonna say, but you know, challenging the birth certificate at one point, and you know, it got heated at that moment in the classroom, and you know, we had to simmer down. I think the teacher just was like, "Hey, we gonna stop this conversation right now," you know. But yeah, when you have a lot of headstrong people, you know, in one setting that all think that they can come up with some elaborate argument and stand on it, you know, that's what happens.
Yeah. Oh, we got to get to the rest of the questions. Hold on. So question number 2 was, should you work? That's a question that a lot of law students have been asking. Should you or should you not work? I know that Coastal strongly suggested, if not even specifically requested, we not work, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think we had to sign like a contract saying that we won't work, but I think that they did give an exception for certain people who had to work. But so for me, I would say, so during law school, for the first 2 weeks that law school began, I was working. And I thought I was going to continue working. You know, I moved out here to Florida and my job transferred me. So I had a job and it lasted a whole 2 weeks. I had to quit. It was absolutely impossible for me to keep up. I couldn't, it was just impossible. With the amount of work and reading, there was no way I can work and get my reading done and things that I had to get done for class. I mean, it may be possible for some people, you know, but for me, it just wasn't one of those things that was possible.
I can understand that. It's a lot of work and it's a lot of reading. Did they let you guys work, LeBrit?
So no. So ABA, I think every ABA accredited law school has the same rule. Like first year law school, you're not allowed to work, but for like some type of approval exception that it has to be submitted and approved. And even then it's like so many hours. There's a max amount of hours you're allowed to work. So for me, like I contemplated whether I was going to go to law school full-time or part-time because I wasn't a traditional law student. Like I didn't go straight from undergrad. I had like a full like real-time, you know, job and benefits and all that good stuff before I went. So I actually made the decision to quit my job. I'm just telling you what I did. I ain't telling nobody else.
That's kind of how I did, you know.
I'm just saying this is what I did. I quit my job because one, I didn't think it was going to be feasible for me to go to law school and get the experience that I wanted to get. So like I wanted to do the internships in the summer. I wanted to be involved in BALSA. I wanted to get involved in WBA. I wanted to join a team. So like I wanted to, and that just wasn't going to, something was going to suffer. Like either my work was going to suffer, like my full-time job, or my studies. So I made the decision to just go to law school full-time. So I don't, like if you're doing a part-time law school, like if you're an evening program, and you're like really dedicated and you can do it, then like that's different. But like going to law school full time and working, I would not advise that. I mean, and like I said, ABA, like they don't even allow it. Now, once you get through your first year law school, you might be able to like work part-time, and a lot of people did, and it's very much different then. But like your first year law school, you really need to be getting like acclimated with the type of studies, exams. Everything is very much different, and it requires a lot of time. It requires a lot of time.
It does. And I think to add on to that, I'm more so like you. I had a job, and I had been working for a year before I went to law school, and I made that decision to quit. And based on my past experience with school, not being too hard for me being able to just get through things pretty easily, I thought like, hey, I can probably handle it too. Then that, this not conflicting hours or anything like that. But I will tell you, like, to me, it was impossible. It lasted 2 weeks. I was a full-time student, and it was just no way. It was no way that I could make that happen with the commitment. Law school is a full-time job. I mean, in case people don't know, like the amount of hours that you have to put in on a weekly basis, I believe exceeds, if not close to 60 hours, like you're working or studying for about 60 hours a week. And they kind of give you that information when you're in orientation, how many hours that, the majority of people who are successful with this spend on their work and, doing this. And so for me, it just wasn't possible. I don't see how it can be done. You're not your first year, especially because you don't get to pick those classes your first year. You're put in there and you have those mandatory classes that you have to take. And I believe the reason they have those mandatory classes that you have to take is because if you can't get through those, then they're not going to let you get in the upper level classes. Like, hey, get through here and then you can get to there if you get to there.
Right.
And then second on that, to add on to what LeBrit said, saying some people work like their second semester or next year. If your grades are not good, you have to sign another contract to, basically stay in school, and they will not allow you to work. You have to sign an agreement saying like, I promise I'm not going to work. That's part of your agreement. If you don't, if you don't do well your first semester and you're still in, so you actually lose that privilege the next semester, the next year, whatever, in addition to your first year if you don't perform well academically. So a lot of stipulations to this.
That kind of leads us into question number 3 about whether you should be looking for externships or internships in your first year. I at least think you should be looking in the sense of knowing like where you want to be. LeBrit and I talked a bit about this before it started, like knowing what areas of law we even like now. So I think that getting the internships and the externships, or at least familiarizing yourself with who does them or who has them, is a good thing to do in the beginning. So then that way, by second year, you've at least started to make contact with the person. You've built a repertoire with them, so it's not so cold, callish. And the people looking at you like, do I know you? Where you come from? So I think it's good to build relationships. Network is my biggest thing. And it's one of the things that I must say that I did not do well in law school. I'm going to go ahead and tell myself. And in hindsight, I think it is probably top 2 for me, most important things that you should do while you're in law school. Because your colleagues, your friends are your jobs, period. Whether you go into private or whether you go into a firm, and it's so important. And in hindsight, I'm like, I probably should have been a little bit more social.
Yeah. I would say it is very important. Like if you want to do work during your 1L summer, so like your summer in between your first year law school and before starting your second year law school, I think the best time to really heavily like start applying for that, maybe submit some applications, is during winter break. Like get through your studies, get through your exams, your outline, like outlining is a whole nother beast of a situation. Get through your exams, and during that winter break, really start putting applications. And what you can do maybe towards the end of the semester, maybe before your exams get too heavy, reach out to your CDO, career development office, and like kind of put a bug in their ear of what you're looking for. Let me tell you, me and one of the ladies at CDO, like we were like this. She helped me like in an interview, like tweak my resume to get an interview. Like I gave her a handwritten thank you note, like, you know, those types of things. And whenever it was like, she knew what I was interested in. So she would kind of, I mean, they send out a blast for a lot of this stuff, but sometimes you send so many emails, you may miss it or something. She would, you know, put my name in ears of people. Like she really went that extra mile. So I really, really, really utilized the career development office, letting them know what I was interested in. And so then they had counselors or representatives that kind of manage different areas. So if you were looking to go private, which I was, there was somebody for that. If you knew you wanted to do public interest, there was a contact person for that. If you knew you like wanted to clerk or something for a judge, there's a person for that. And so like kind of making those contacts with those people to say like, hey, this is what I'm interested in. And then when that stuff comes out, you know, you may get first dibs, like not first dibs, but you know, they may send you information to kind of let you know like this is what's going on. Yeah. So for me, I think that was really important. And then you can use your not summer break, but your winter break to go ahead and get those applications. So you want to have it out the way before second semester starts, because now you're starting the whole process all over again. So that's just a really, really good time. Utilize that winter break time, I say.
Yeah. And something important she said in there, guys, once again, goes back to the networking. When you're networking, I'm pretty open as an attorney, and I've had a lot of people just jump in my inbox, but I will tell you that it is not fun either sometimes to just have people just randomly reach out to you. Like, don't do it. Like, I ain't trying to be funny, but in an effort to help you, those that are trying to get into law school, building that rapport, like she said, sending a handwritten thank you letter, the things that seem so small that you don't think about, sending a thank you, period, when a person does something for you is a great way to build up that relationship so that person would be willing to help you in the future and go that extra mile. Because I know a lot of times, and like I said, I'm not as bad with it as I know some of my colleagues don't like it, to just wake up the next day and they got like 5 or 6 or 7 different emails from random law students or people wanting to go to law school. Like, I want to do. And you are like, okay, that's nice. I'm glad for you. God bless. But, you know, be nicer about it. Say something like, good morning. How was your day? Build a rapport with that person first. And you find out you get so much more help from not seeming interested. Be interested in that person and, you know, what they're doing. And they'll go farther.
Right. And I agree. As far as internships, I would say like like LeBrit said, after your first semester, probably over the winter break or during spring break, you know, try to get that stuff out during spring break, I would say, so that you can get yourself set up for the summer. I think spring break would probably be more ideal because winter break is a far time from the summer. So for instance, if I'm looking for an intern, I'm going to be looking for someone that I can get in here within the next couple of months. So spring break is for me, and my firm will be a little bit closer to determine than me waiting, you know, 5 or 6 months before I can get someone in. But yeah, I do say that start interning right away. I know at the end of your first semester, it's a good idea to start at least jotting down places you want to reach out to, and then make the extra effort during spring break to do that, because these internships can lead you far, get you connections. You know, nowadays, word of mouth takes you a lot farther sometimes than even some people. Some people like, oh, I got the grades, okay, but I have to word of mouth. So this person over here is getting hired, and this person over here that, you know, haven't made any kind of networking or social skills is still over here hustling, bustling, trying to find a place of employment. You know, but I do think that networking and internship is very important.
Agreed. That's been some of my biggest connections since I opened my firm. I haven't been open as long as Rivers Legal, but since I opened my firm this year, I've noticed that it's the internships, the people I interned with, the people I externed with, that have been my greatest sources and my resources. So I do think that's important. Okay, we're getting real close to our 30-minute time. So is it normal, someone asked, for me to not be used to or to like law school halfway through my 1L year, and what should I do?
It's normal. And if you know that 100% this isn't for you, withdraw before that ad drop period so you don't get charged, because it is also a lot of money. So trust me, if you got cold feet, do not get yourself in debt like that for no reason. Go.
I 100% agree. I was going to say the same thing. Like, it's different. There's a difference between, oh my gosh, I hate cold calling. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody really likes cold calling. But it's like the whole experience, right?
Yeah.
It's the whole experience. Like, nothing about it is for you. Like, the foundation of law school. Like, if you don't like reading, you don't like writing, you don't like the analysis portion, like fundamentals, like if you don't like that, then you probably just don't like what being a lawyer or being in legal field is going to require. Now, you just don't like the fact that it's competitive, or like I said, maybe you get nervous when you get cold called or whatever. That's very much normal. But I'm saying, like, if you don't like the fundamentals of what makes the legal field, then it's probably not for you. And that's okay, because there are so many people that were in my section and then they didn't return after the first semester. Exactly. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And don't like feel embarrassed or as LeBrit said, don't feel bad about it. It's just that it's not for you, and that's okay. I actually lead with don't do it. When people are like, I want to go to law school, I'm like, don't do it.
I do that same thing.
Do it too. It's largely to gauge their reaction first, to see if they get scared. Okay, then if you come back to me, I'm like, okay, maybe you might want to try this for real. But it's a lot of debt to get into to not like it, and you will know. You'll know. You'll be sitting in that classroom thinking to yourself, I really don't want to be here. I really don't want to be here. Right. Or you'll be sitting in that classroom thinking, okay, I'm a little nervous about this now, but the material is so good, I want to go back and read more. Right. And it's funny how our conversations are, guys. I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she was like, oh, girl, this case is just so beautiful. I'm like, only a lawyer would say something like this on paper is like beautiful. She was like, oh, it's juicy. And so if you're not kind of feeling that about any part of the experience, and I mean, any part of it, like maybe, as we talked before, maybe your favorite subject, maybe your favorite teacher or something, or nothing about it is getting to you in a positive light, then it may not be for you. It just may not be for you, and that's okay.
I agree. And it's even more common, I think, if you are someone who has gone to law school straight out of undergrad. Mm-hmm. I had a little bit of time to kind of work to really try to figure out really what it is I wanted to do. But a lot of people, I mean, you're 21, you coming straight, you may not even really know what you want to do yet. It's a lot of people oh, my dad's a lawyer, my grandfather was a lawyer. You may just be doing it because people in your family are doing it, or that's what your family expects you to do. Mm-hmm. And so you just come from undergrad and just go straight into law school. But yeah, I mean, I had some time to kind of really figure out what it is I wanted to do. So I knew that's what I wanted when I went in. But it's okay if your mind changes. That's okay too.
Agree. And if you're unsure, because I didn't get in my first year, I'm open and honest about this processes. I applied to almost every school, and I did not get into one my first time around. But I appreciated that because it gave me a time to sit down and say, okay, is this what I want? And it allowed me, that was actually one of my first jobs, was with the firm, trying to see, do I really want to do this? Do I even like this atmosphere enough to do it? And I'm glad that I got a chance to do that. with Miss, it was Rhonda Peoples Waters at the time, now the Honorable Rhonda Peoples Waters.
Right, honorable.
I know, right? She a judge. So yeah, it was a really good for me to go through that experience first, because I do believe if I didn't, I probably would have been one of those people that would have burned out of it quickly, because it is like burning a candle at both ends.
Exactly.
But it can be fun, guys. Let's throw that back out there. It could be fun.
And remember,
law
this
school
is
was
for the
so much
people
fun for me.
who are having cold feet. So after that first semester, I mean, and then again, like if you're halfway through, and then after that first semester, when you take those first exams,
Mm-hmm.
you kind of, your feet get colder. Oh, you know. You know, and it's no shame. It doesn't make you a failure. It doesn't make you anything. You need to do what really makes you happy.
Exactly.
You'll be a miserable person to get out with all these loans and to not utilize your law degree at all because you're simply not interested in it. So if you're not interested, make sure this is something that you want to do and you're doing it because you want to do it, not because of everyone else wanting you to do it. Make sure this is what you want to do with your life.
Exactly. So someone said, congrats to you all. Thank you, Miss Doris, for the congratulatory remarks. If you have any questions, guys, I usually like you guys to ask while we're doing it. I see people on, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask us any questions. I guess we can make this the question and answer time. We're a little over our normal time. If the moderators don't mind staying for just a minute, if they got somewhere to go, I understand. But we'll try to see if anybody got any questions. I did have one on here on our Insta, so give me a minute to look. Oh, they wanted to know if any of us practiced in Texas. Yes and no. For me, I'll say no because I'm licensed in Florida, but yes because trademarks and copyrights are federal, which means I can file those from any state. Any trademark or copyright attorney can file those. So that's my answer. Anybody else?
Do not.
My answer, this is an interesting question, but my answer is no. I'm only licensed here in Florida, but I am in the works of getting licensed in Texas.
Oh, so there's your Texas attorney, whomever that was.
Not licensed there yet.
Dawson Mary, thank you for the congratulatory remarks. Someone said congratulations, lady. So thank you. Do we have any other questions about law school or about what any of us do while we're on?
Or the bar.
Or the bar. The bar was different this year. And actually, I wanted to talk about that, LeBrit, if you don't mind, really quickly, how the bar went this year. We had 2 days where we had to do the bar for almost 8 hours.
Right.
It was torturous. As a matter of fact, we had a girl pass out in our section, like legit hit the floor, and they do not care. They brought in the stretcher and that was pretty much it, and they just wheeled her out. Like,
right. Okay, no, I mean, but seriously, because the bar exam is giving in all 50 states or whatever, 49 and whatever, at the same time. So that first day did we do Florida first or did we do MBE first? I think that first day is your state day.
I don't remember.
No, the first day is the state day. So that first day is the state day for everyone, whatever your state exam is. So I think we did Florida MBE the first 4 hours from like 8 to 12. We had a lunch from like 12 to 1. And then from 1 to 5 or 2 to 5, we did the essays. Okay. Now, if they tell you in the instructions, if something happens to someone in there, you are to ignore it and to keep working. Right. And they have attendants that will tend to that person because this is a timed exam. You're not going to get any extra time. It starts when the practice starts. It stops when the practice stops. They don't allow additional time because this is the thing. If they were to stop that time, we already saw this. There's going to be some people in there still working. So guess what? They're going to get additional time.
Exactly.
Now, the guy that was sitting next to me, for the essay portion. I think we did essays then in Florida MB. For the essays, I think it was like a family law essay. He read that family law essay and he passed out. Like I had to stop. I had to listen. You know me. I'm like, I saw his face turn bloodshot red.
Aww.
And he started to like grasp like his neck area. And so I said, "Are you okay?" You know, at this point, I'm like, "Are you okay?" I see him like going into faintish mode. Next thing I know, all these people over here next to us, it was two of us handling him, dealing with him, and getting him together. And here I am, literally like, okay, well, they got it. Let me
keep going.
I literally was like, okay, they're here. And I just ignored him. I let them deal with him. And he mind you, we're sitting side by side, seat to seat. And, it had to be like that. But I understand, like, he probably had like a test taking anxiety. He was the person who told me he was licensed in Virginia and had took Florida 3 times and failed it all 3 times. But he passed Virginia on the first time. Wow. I was like, interesting. So I don't know.
I wasn't that close to the people in ours. The one girl that passed out in ours was like tables away from me. And then the one girl, actually, she was about 3 tables close to me. The second girl, she was just bawling. And we was like, they told her, ma'am, you're going to have to stop crying or you're going to have to leave because you're disturbing the room. And she was bawling. I felt so bad for her. The guy that sat next to me was gone by the second half of the day. So when it's a process to it. It can be fun, but I don't know. How was it? You guys didn't have a room.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't have any of those experiences, thank God, because the bar exam was issued remotely due to COVID-19. So I took it at home, comfort of my own home. It was quiet. No one was passing out. Nobody was fainting. The only thing with that, though, a lot of people did have tech issues. Like even my the software I was using, I think it was ExamSoft, that we used to take the exam, kind of like froze up on me, and then I had to call like tech support and be like, I can't get in this because I gave you passwords like I think 15 minutes before to access each portion. And I'm like, oh, this froze up, and then it wasn't, but a few minutes, and I was like able to get in and everything, so it wasn't a big deal. But some people had like real serious tech issues. We sat for the exam, so it was like you all 2 days, but Maryland is UBE state, so the first day was the like written portion, so the MPT and the MEE, and then I think there was like 3 hours for each section with like an hour break or something in between. So total of like 6 hour like test taking time. And then the next day was the multiple choice. And I think we had 3 hours to do 100 questions. I think that's what it was, something like that. But like you had breaks in between. Like I think we had like a 1 hour like lunch break or something like that. But yeah, so a total of like 12 hours across 2 days.
Oh, so we did 8 hours with I think a lunch break in between both days. And then for those that don't understand what we're saying, because we are using a lot of acronyms right now, UBE and MBE. So the way most bars are done, there's 2 days. Most states do 2 days. 1 day is for essays and 1 day is for multiple choice. The essays, depending on your state, can either be MBE, we call it the multi-bar examination, or UBE, the unified bar examination, and they vary slightly. The UBE deals with, you have to write like a motion, if I'm not mistaken, and I think that's one half of it.
I think that's kind of state by state too, because I don't think that I think that's just straight multiple choice for the states who do that. Some states have you do like a little questionnaire and with state particular questions in addition to that, but I don't believe that it's the writing. Like I'm not sure if it's a writing portion to it or if it's like a general writing, like that as like a general crim question that's not like kind of more so like on a federal level versus a state level. So I think this, their questions are more geared towards, state. I mean, not state, but federal level And then if they have because I know one state, once you pass, as part of their application process, they make you do a video clip and answer like 15 questions, but it's not done when the examination is given, and that's just a part of their application process as to what you have to submit with your actual application. So no, I don't know much about the UBE, but what was interesting to me, what LeBrit was saying, because I remember we had the option to handwrite, which I was a handwriter, or use Examsoft. And so with the new COVID and stuff, everyone has to type, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Everyone had to type because you had to be it was recording you the whole entire time. So you had to be inside Examsoft, typing all of your responses into Examsoft, and it was recording you the whole entire time. There were a lot of mechanisms put in place to ensure that everyone was following the honor code, making sure I think if you looked away too much or you were bending down, it kind of managed your movements. And not at that time, but later on, if there were any issues, they may have followed back up with you or something like that. It didn't necessarily mean you were cheating, but maybe you were playing with your hair a lot. So if you did anything that kind of gave the software a red flag, your recording was flagged for further review. Yeah,
that was interesting, huh?
Yeah, I don't know if I would have liked being under that type of pressure.
I think I liked ours. I mean, there were some fun things that happened during that time, but I think I liked ours. I typed. I did the Examsoft. I couldn't write that long.
But what they did tell us, the professors trying to get us or your bar coach to going into the bar examination was with whatever your normal mechanism for taking notes during class, go with that. Yeah. Don't try to switch it up at the last minute. And I know some people who switched it up at the last minute was like, okay, I'm going to type. And me, I thought about switching it up because when I tell you my penmanship is horrible, it is horrible. So I was like, you know what? Let me switch this up because they might not even understand what I put on this paper. But I was like, you know what? They're going to have to struggle through it because I'm afraid to switch it up. And then, because it's just not my normal method. I'm used to thinking with my hands and just jotting it out there. So, that's what I went with. And, I passed first time. So, it's possible.
God bless. We were all first time bar passers. Thank you, Lord. I'm gonna put that out there for LeBrit. I'm
gonna claim that.
We're gonna put that out there for her. But don't miss that tip, guys, that Attorney Rivers just gave. Don't miss that tip. She just said teachers recommend you don't switch it up. So I mean, if you really think you can do it, so be it. But you might.
But they don't really have a choice now, Vivian. Remember, because
no, because I think they're going to go back to in person now.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, I think they're going to go back to in person. I know, for me, I had always submitted all of my exams throughout law school electronically, so I used Exam4. Some people were, they hand wrote their exams, but I always typed out. It kind of worked out for me.
I don't recall us having an option to type exams, Vivian. In all of our class, we had that paper book and we had to write.
I think no, you're right. At least in you're right with exams.
We had to write everything. We didn't have the option of having our exams submitted. They came and gave us that little booklet and we wrote it out.
Write it out.
I don't recall us ever having the option to type an exam and submit it.
We're not too far out, but we apparently out enough that it has changed. So do understand, and the rules are different per school, of course. We do have a few quick things. Look like we have a question. How long is law school? 3 years on average, guys. Just a quick question. 3 years on average. Some programs do 4, and if you have to do part-time or night school, it could end up being about 4.
Yeah, and I did 2.5.
She 3. It's overachiever.
I was not. I was just ready to get out of there. I did what I came, I saw, I achieved. That's it.
You want to say?
No, I was gonna say, so yeah, I did 3 years of law school, your traditional like 2 semesters each year. That's what I did. But I also wanted to say, for people who don't know, there are some like joint degrees. So I know some people who started out with me who took another year, but it's because like they also getting their JD. I
Not
think
JD, you meant
schools,
MBA.
I'm
MBA?
sorry. They're getting their JD. They're getting their MBA.
Or your LLM. I know a lot of people did those two.
Right.
I'm an MBA. Some people are doing JD MBA combo. So like they started out their first year law school, and then so their first year law school they did with their class, and then their second year they went to go and do the business program, and then they came back to finish the other.
Yeah.
So if you're doing a joint program or something like that, that's another way for it to take longer than the traditional 3 years.
Okay, and to explain what the LLM is really quickly, we call it technically a master's of law degree. It is, for the most part, it's a degree that if you want to do international law, I would strongly suggest over the Juris Doctorate, which is what we have, the JD. And that is because most other countries outside of the U.S. use the LLM, which is the Master's of Laws degree, for lawyers to practice. So if you do determine that you may want to do another country or something, and you're more sure than not you're going to be doing international law, I would strongly suggest you do either both the JD and the LLM so you can practice in multiple countries, or get the LLM over the JD. And once again, Juris Doctor is the name of what we have. So I've been hearing that a lot. Everybody wants to know the difference between what our doctorate and PhD. Technically, we can't call ourselves doctors. I'm not that excited about that part. However, the reason why they say is because I don't think we do a dissertation at the end of our studies like you would do in a PhD setting. So we have to put the doctorate portion that we do, which Esquire, behind our name. So our names mine is Vivian Williams Esquire, Jakela Rivers Esquire, LeBrit. We're gonna put you in there too, Nickerson Esquire, because it's going to happen. We're gonna keep putting it out there for you. And so we can't put doctor in front of our name unless we get an SJD, which is the social studies of a Juris Doctorate, and then you can put it. But that's going another year on top of whatever years you've gone with either your joint program or the regular 3 years. That was a question. So.
In my email signature is when my degree was conferred. I definitely was LeBrit Nickerson JD. I mean, I have my JD. I don't put it in front of my name, and that's like a whole big thing. Like she's just like whatever.
You are a JD now. You can put that. Yeah, you can put that on your name. You now have a JD. Point blank. It is what it is. And it's a degree that can do many, many, many things. So those that don't want to take the bar, there are so many other things you can do still with just the JD. A lot of people become and they go into the C-suite of businesses like a CAO or COO or CEO because the JD is such an important degree. So don't underestimate that either. It has some great weight and some great power. But yeah, it goes behind our names, guys. I know. But I mean, that's a cool part. I'm gonna read off the rest of the comments really fast because we're way over. But I hope everybody enjoyed tonight. Stacey Jones Paul said, "Thanks for this forum. It was very enlightening. Thank you for coming. Congratulations to you." Super proud of my niece, LeBrit Nickerson Jones, come on, Jesus Esquire. Stacey Jones once again also said Black excellence. Thank you, and awaiting the bar results. We hope she passed. Doris said claim it. We are, and we're so excited to have you on tonight. It doesn't appear that there are any other questions. I'm going to check Instagram really fast to make sure I'm not missing anyone. Nope, I think we answered everything, and there doesn't appear to be any. But if you have any more questions, guys, feel free. I am an open book, and I'm very open on my social media. You can either hit me up on my Instagram or my Facebook, or you can find us on As the Law Turns, and I will be willing to comment. I know that Miss Rivers also and Miss Nickerson also, we, open books for you guys if you have any questions about law school or are contemplating law school and are, wanting some understanding on, things we may not have covered tonight. Thank you for joining. We do have a question. Do either of you practice in Georgia? I do not, but I'm prayerfully licensed next year in Georgia. Let's fingers crossed. Because I'll be going up for the Georgia bar hopefully next year.
Good luck with you on that. I said I will never sit for another bar exam, but good luck on your endeavors.
You're doing Texas.
Right.
That's a different procedure to get in there. I don't have to sit for examination.
That's another fun thing too, you guys.
Note.
I don't have to sit for both days because I'm already licensed. I only have to sit for one.
Right. I don't want to sit for half a day.
And a good point to make about the UBE, from a UBE state to another UBE state, there's reciprocity. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to fully sit again for the exam. So that's just another thing to note.
Yeah, but the state of Florida, unfortunately, has no reciprocity with anyone because, it's the state of Florida.
Right. So you're going to sit for a full 2 days if you're trying to get in Florida, period.
So, we're getting questions now. If you guys mind answering, does anyone practice educational disability law? No.
No.
I don't know anyone either. That
I may know some people that do a little disability, but not education. I don't know anyone who does education personally, but
I do trademarks, copyrights, contracts, business formations, and criminal defense. So those are my specialties. Jakela,
I do family law, and I do criminal defense, and I do some civil litigation, such as landlord-tenant issues. So
that's what we cover. We thank you guys for joining us tonight. Join us every Thursday night. My show is normally on Thursday night as the law turns. We are live on YouTube and Facebook at the same time. And we talk law school, current events, all the fun stuff in law. And it's pretty exciting. We will see you next Thursday. Bye.